Hi, wow, I started speaking and suddenly I just got this spike of dizziness in my head because I titrated off of my antidepressant medicine last week, and ever since then, even though I followed the instructions plus going a little bit further than what the pharmacist had said I should do after being on this medicine for I think 2 maybe 3 years, I've been high blood pressure and dizzy every single day, lacking in energy, sleepy, and it's just, it's not fun. And but anyways, in the previous video, I was talking about the CPU and GPU temperatures. I did show you the motherboard and VRM temperatures at the end. However, I didn't talk to you about them. So in this video, I'm not going to be showing you those temperatures for a long time. Again, I'm just going to put it on the screen for a very brief period of time so that you can see it. And then I'm just going to end the video there rather than dragging out, because I already went over it a bit in the previous video. So if you need to see that, please go and look at that video. So some people obsess over these things, motherboard and VRM temperatures, yet for most people, they are not important. And when I say not, I mean not, because most people are doing things like watching videos, browsing, maybe typing some stuff up, emails, that kind of stuff. They're not doing anything challenging. They're not doing anything heavy duty. They're not playing AAA games. They're not folding. They're not doing AI. They're not doing 3D rendering. They're not doing CAD. They're not doing blueprint making. They're not doing anything that really challenges their computer. And for those people, you shouldn't even be running on a high-quality computer, not even as high quality as mine, and mine isn't even the best anymore. Because from fall of 2022 till now, Intel has released 2 more generations of CPUs. So my generation is already 2 behind. But that's okay, because I got it at a good price. Now, so it takes very demanding tasks, like torture tests, like the Prime 95 test I used, Cinebench 2024, Linpack Extreme, superposition from Unigine or Unigine or whatever it is, and oh my gosh, I'm having a brain fart. Anyways, things like that, folding, CAD, whatever, to have any real impact on the motherboard and VRMs. On my PC, only the Prime 95 torture test I run with small FFTs causes any problems. And that's just with the internet connection becoming very slow sometimes. 95% of people probably, maybe it's more, maybe it's less, do not need to worry about these temperatures. Okay? If you're actually struggling with your VRMs, then buy a cooler that blows air on them, either an air cooler or have a specially mounted fan that's positioned and or using ducting to direct air directly at the part that's overheating, or use a water cooler with a VRM fan. The following list is not recommended to be used for choosing where to mount your AIO's RAD. Okay, this list is organized by motherboard temperatures and secondarily by VRM temperatures, which should have very little impact again for most people. The motherboard temperatures are sorted first on the Time Spy results, second on the Cinebench 2024 results, and finally on the Prime 95 results. And please note, the Cinebench 2024 test that I ran was the CPU multi-core test or benchmark, not the GPU or the CPU single core or thread, whatever you want. And finally, the temperatures are in delta. That's the ambient or room temperature subtracted from the measured temperature. And it's in Celsius, not Fahrenheit. So if you want to take a look, I'm going to put that stuff up on the screen here. But before I do that, I want to explain to you that all the special tests that I did, the 8 special tests that I talked about in the previous video, did poorly for the motherboard and the VRMs. Overall, exhaust performed better than most intake tests for the motherboard and VRMs. But again, that's motherboard and VRMs. You shouldn't be adjusting your water cooler or air cooler for those things. You should be doing other things for those things. Sandwiched, tubes down, and fans intaking on the front and side outperformed all other intake tests, with a difference of only 2 degrees Celsius, where front mount was better, with sandwiched front up and intake being 1 degree behind them, and side up intake inner being 1 degree behind that. Sorry about that. I had to get a drink. I mean, I don't know what that was. My throat just gets dried out sometimes, especially when I'm speaking with emphasis like this. All right, so some sandwich configurations did better for them, for the motherboard and VRMs, while some inners did better. Top intake continued to be perform poorly for the motherboard and VRMs, just like it did for the CPU and GPU. Both top exhausts did quite well for the motherboard and VRMs, however. In most configurations, exhaust performed better than intake for the motherboard and VRMs, which is the opposite of what we showed you, or what I showed you in the previous video, where sometimes it was intake, sometimes it was exhaust, depending on the position. Exhaust for side, intake for front. The temperature range was 11 to 24 degrees, or a 13-degree variance for the motherboard tests, 33 to 63 degrees, which is a 30-degree variance Celsius for the VRMs, which is a big difference either way. Now, a little bit more on that, focusing on the VRM temperatures. If we look here, top mounting really did help them. When you look only at the VRM temperatures first and then the motherboard temperatures, the top mounting was almost always, well, it was always in the top half of the tests. Only side down exhaust inner, which was ranked number 3, was in the top 5. But still, it was 10 degrees hotter than the top intake front tubes and inner, and 8 degrees hotter than the top exhaust front tubes and inner. Aside from that, the only other non-top in the top 10 was side up exhaust inner, which was ranked number 8, but it was 15 degrees hotter than top intake front tubes inner, and 13 degrees hotter than top exhaust front tubes and inner. VRM temperatures at the bottom of the end of this list are of concern. So let's go ahead and take a look at that right now. All right, so if we look here, we can see that the organization is different now, with a lot of top mounts in the front. And again, this is not ideal. This is a CPU cooler, not a motherboard / VRM cooler. However, if we are prioritizing our VRMs, we can see this is the column to look at over here. And that top dominates the list, like I was saying, with side being up in the top 10 there as well. And then finally we get a front mount that's good for the VRMs. But again, there are other ways to cool off the VRMs and the motherboard, so don't really worry about that. And now we can see it has changed again because I've sorted based on the motherboard temperatures. So I used these 3 columns here. Whoops, that's not what I wanted. These 3 columns here. And then just for good measure, I added in that VRM column right there. So here we can see, again, a lot of the top mounts drop down to the bottom, and only the 2 top exhausts, inner and sandwich, are at the top. And everything else is just all the way at the bottom here for top mounts. So again, as with CPU and GPU, top mounting is not a good idea for your CPU. It's not a good idea for your GPU. You're going to get temperatures that are in general too hot. I would sing, but I don't want to blast your ears, and I don't trust myself feeling the way I feel right now, being dizzy and coughing. But yeah, so best case scenario, side mount tubes down, exhausting, inner positioning of the fans gets you 61 on the CPU, 68 on the GPU, 11 on the motherboard, and 43 on the VRMs. That is really, really good. And frankly, out of all of these, if you're looking for a compromised position, that is SDEV is the compromised position. Now, if we go back and we just look at sorting this by CPU and GPU, which is that and that, what did I say just now? SDEV inner. So side tubes down, exhaust, and the fan's positioned on the inner side of the radiator is the ideal thing to get a great compromise for all 4 of your components. You can still do one of these 2 over here if you want to have slightly better temperatures for the CPU, but you're going to have hotter temperatures, a few degrees hotter for the GPU, and it's going to be somewhat hotter for the motherboard and the VRM as well. So if you're looking for that all-around compromised position for all 4 of your components, SDEV inner is it. SDEVI. Now, again, I still haven't done the testing where the graphics card is mounted in the PCIe slot of the motherboard. I have to check and see if the other graphics card I've got, which is my son's card, can actually handle TimeSpy and Cinebench. If it can, we're good to go. I'll do those tests in the next couple of weeks and post those results. If not, it's going to have to wait until I can find a graphics card that I can use for that testing. Okay, so that's it for that one. Next, we're going to take a look at the Cinebench and TimeSpy scores over here. Let's talk about that in a moment. Please come right back to me, okay? Please like, subscribe, and share. I'd like to thank Grindler at Bleeping Computer for allowing me to share my videos and posts on his website. Bleeping Computer has a lot of resources, including vetted programs, malware removal instructions, malware removal volunteers, other kinds of volunteers for IT, cybersecurity information, and more. It's a great place to go. Give it a try. Thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great day.